Hey everyone, it's Mr. Nice Guy with a special Christmas story I wanted to share with all my friends. This story begins, I think, in 1991. Christmas Eve. We always opened Christmas gifts at my house with my family on Christmas Eve, and I always got a wonderful gift. My daddy always made sure that I got kind of what I wanted. You know, one year it was the Nintendo system, entertainment system. Y'all remember those? And that was the Christmas of '89. I got that. And one year it was a bicycle. I was so happy to get that bicycle. And this particular year, I wanted a banjo. I love to hear a banjo, and I wanted to learn how to play one. So I made my wish known to everyone. You know, didn't make no faults about it. I wanted everybody to know I wanted a banjo. Well, things were a little tight around the house, and Christmas Eve came, and I was expecting that banjo. I opened my gifts. And of course, I got some clothes, and some friends give me, you know, little things here, maybe a cassette or whatever. And I loved it, but I knew at the end come my big gift. And I was 15 at the time. No, I was actually 16. I was 16 at the time. And I was getting on up in age, so Christmas Eve came, and that night, and no banjo. And I was like, how odd. I really want that banjo. And then on Christmas Day, we always went to my stepmother's mother, which lived in South Carolina, and we'd open gifts there. And I says, it's so good of a gift, they're gonna open it in front of everybody. So I didn't say nothing to Daddy, and we went on to the house and opened the gifts, and still no banjo. And I was like, what? You gotta be kidding me, no banjo? And I said, oh well. And I was getting a little ill then, because I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna get a banjo, don't little. I said, maybe when we get back house it'll be laying on the floor, and here I'll come in, and because he was always good with a surprise. And we got back home that evening, no banjo, and my heart broke. I just went outside, and I sit there, and I was all upset and kind of crying, and Daddy come out and says, what's wrong with you? And I didn't really want to say too much, but I said, Daddy, I wanted a banjo for Christmas. And he says, sometimes you don't get what you want. And he says, you're getting up, and he says, we just, you know, financially couldn't do it. And I understood, but I'd already told him, you know, I was like, well, I still wanted a banjo. And he says, well, maybe next Christmas. And so Christmas passed, and right around May, we were out working in a watermelon field. I was kind of getting the grass from around the little plants, and he pulled me up to the tractor, and he said, I got something to tell you. I says, what is it? And he said, went to the doctor today, and they found a growth in my chest, which just right then I knew it was cancer. And I put my head against that big old tractor wheel and cried, and he put his hand on me. He says, it's gonna be all right. So we went through the treatments, and we done everything, and then they said, there's really nothing that we can do. And finally the day came that we said goodbye to Daddy. And it was November the 5th, 1992. And I stood at the bed, and Daddy was a jolly fella, kind of like me, you know, but I'm nothing like my Daddy. And he'd been on morphine that day, and not even really thinking, he'd been sleeping. And he looked down at me, and I was sitting at the end of his bed, and he looked at me and he gave me one of his big old grins and opened his eyes wide. And I knew it was almost time. So I got up and I went into the other room and I cried. And about an hour later, he passed on. And we had the funeral. And one of the flowers that was sent had a beautiful dove, a white dove, with a streamer coming out of its mouth. I said, beautiful. So we kept it. And that next Christmas, I remember the last Christmas before not getting what I wanted, and this Christmas realizing that Daddy was gone. And things you take for granted, it'll come to your remembrance. You know, last year you were complaining about a banjo, and this year your daddy's gone. And on that Christmas tree we put that dove, and his streamers come out of his mouth right on the tree, beautiful white dove. And every year since that day I've put that dove on my tree in remembrance to always remember, hold fast to the ones you love, never let them go, because next year it might be different. You've got to live your life for today. And so I just want to tell you that little Christmas story. Make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them. Don't hold that. That's something you should never hold. And spend as much time with you can with them this Christmas. Alright? Have yourself a nice day. And Merry Christmas.